Hello everyone, welcome to Sweetcast. It is a lovely Saturday morning, and I want to talk about two things. One is Captain Marvel, and then I want to talk about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And I think this illustrates a problem with, I guess, just a grasp on reality. So before we jump into that, I did want to show you the landing page. Again, I announced this yesterday. This is a novel I wrote I published it in 2013, and I would like to give it to you. This is one, to thank you for all of you first early subscribers. I could not have come this far without you, so seriously, thank you. And then two is I am preparing to launch Downcast, hopefully in the spring. And so, yeah, all I'm asking for is you go to this landing page. The link is in the description. Enter your email address, and I will send you an email that will have a PDF version of All for Owen, an EPUB version, which is an ebook version, and then I had people requesting the Mobi version, so I added that to the email as well. So this will put you on my mailing list just for the launch of Downcast. I promise I will not send you, I'm not going to spam you, and I'm not going to give out your email addresses. This is just so I don't have to rely on YouTube or Twitter, so I'm prepared for the future. So that'll help me out a lot. Thanks. So I woke up to this being published on Bleeding Cool. Does Wall Street root against female superheroes? Next week's Captain Marvel #1. So first, that headline, I get it. I mean, you gotta get clicks. But they're trying to unite the real world politics into the fictional world politics. I would love to see how that works out for them, but I don't see it helping. So, I mean, this might seem subtle, and it's the working, the collusion between the press and a company or an individual that they're trying to make look good. And so in this case, Bleeding Cool is the press, air quotes, and then we have Marvel, and specifically Social Justice Marvel Comics, as that organization that they're trying to give some help. Now the problem is that their audience that they're aiming for is not, I don't think it's typical American. It really excludes a lot of people. And so, yeah, we're going to go through this a little bit. Next week, a new Captain Marvel series debuts amidst falling stock prices as the country enters its third week of government shutdown. Wow, they're trying to be so timely. The third week of the government shutdown. Okay. One might think that Wall Street would have pressing matters to worry about, but it seems they're all too happy to take time out of their trading to root for a giant monster against a popular female superhero. I see what you did there. So the government shutdown's a real thing, right? There's real news. And then, Wall Street, but they're rooting against a giant squid. Oh, so this is fictional. Okay. So I see this all the time, and they'll bring something up that's real, or just to sort of justify, like, oh, we're being so timely and we're edgy. And then they cap it off with something totally fictional and ridiculous. Now, trust me, I love fictional and ridiculous. And, I like news and opinions on politics and things like that. But when you're trying to use your fictional silliness as like a justification for the real life stuff, it's really weird. And this isn't the only time. It's not like this is just one attempt at it. You see this all of the time. So, here's a little discussion here with, Captain Marvel. They talk about being friends, which is kind of weird. And then, they're starting to discuss this giant squid, only that it already kicked my butt in front of the stock exchange. I bet those Wall Street guys loved that. That they did. And you? Not so much. I don't get, why is it always that capitalists or bankers or, anything like that, they're always like antagonistic towards superheroes. It doesn't make sense to me, but you see that theme all throughout. Now in like Civil War I, the original Civil War, at least there was some discussion of pro-government regulation and anti-government regulation. And it was like more of exploring some kind of political topic, which honestly, that's how you write. If you want to talk about politics in fiction, that's how you do it. You sort of explore it and look at all sides of the issue, and there's a lot of drama and tension that can be built there, when essentially the bad guy are, they're just these faceless almost like NPCs, I guess. They're just these faceless random characters that you talk about. They have no point of view or perspective, but if you call them Wall Street guys, then they're automatically just bad guys. We just don't like them. Geez, no wonder we're in a bear market, or is it a squid market? All the stars align as Kelly Thompson and Cameron Carnello take on Marvel's premier female superhero. As Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers has spent months in space protecting Earth from alien threats, big and small, but now it's time for Earth's mightiest heroes to come home. New York City has never looked so good, but every re-entry comes with the unexpected, and Carol is about to hit a whole lot of unexpected. It's a fresh start and an oversized star-studded welcome home for a hero who's been punching the glass ceiling since the 1970s. Okay, so here's another thing. The whole analogy with the glass ceiling. We got to talk about this for a minute. There have been female superheroes, and in fact, in the Marvel universe, who have been quite successful, and even outside, like Wonder Woman, for example. Lots of female superheroes have been very successful commercially, and they've made money, and they've made lots of fans. They've become iconic. Now, the glass ceiling, it implies that all women can't get past this certain point. Like, you got to break that glass ceiling, and once you do that, the way is open for everybody else. Again, this is an example of a fantasy or a fiction being applied to real life. That's not how things work. So the fact that Captain Marvel hasn't seen a lot of success, especially as of late, has nothing to do with her gender. It has a lot to do, though, with, honestly, a lot of the publishing practices. I'm sorry, this background this absolutely looks like some communist like pamphlet you'd see. Like, seriously, imagine, take out Captain Marvel. You got the red. This totally looks like a communist propaganda poster. Yeah, look at some of these. It's like the same color scheme even. And it's like the red, and then I thought there was one that had like the lines moving out. Yeah, it totally fits in. It looks really similar to me. Okay, now this is all fun and games, except that I worry. In fact, I'm almost positive that when Marvel starts to admit the fact that they're having troubles with sales, with money, and that the industry as a whole is having trouble, they're going to be blaming things like, the government shutdown, the economy. They're going to blame these problems that are outside of their reach. Now, anybody that has ever owned a business or done business knows that that's not helpful. You can complain about things that are bigger than you, that are happening to you, but ultimately your business is on you. You got to take some responsibility. Now, the problem with Marvel is they're not taking responsibility. In fact, the way that they're structured, they're putting all of that responsibility onto local comic book shops. And when you think about it, it is really mind-blowing that the weight of the industry is completely resting on small business owners. Even the largest comic book shops, like Midtown Comics or something, in the big picture, that is a small business. And then you have these massive media conglomerates that are connected to comic publishers, and they're sitting on top. And they've figured out how to make it so that these small businesses are shouldering all the risk. And this was tweeted out. I know a lot of people have talked about this, but this is Chuck standing in the middle of our empty Colorado Boulevard store. Yeah, Mile High Comics is shut down, like at least the one I think they said in Glendale. And there are some very specific things that have been done to make sure that comic book shops are the ones that are dealing with all of the risk. They can't return the comics. They have to buy the comics. Not only that, they have to buy so many comics that they can get a discount and buy more comics. This sounds a lot like a multi-level marketing scam, and it totally is, because if you're a company and most of your sales are going to people that are just hoping to resell it, and they're not getting to the end customer, then you're not actually selling your product to meet the demand. You're selling it to meet the hopes and dreams of small entrepreneurs that are hoping to resell those. And so now they're saddled with them. This is a failed business model. And yes, it may have worked, and like he makes the point here, if they were sold for $1, having unreturnable comics wouldn't be so bad. But when you're talking about $5 per book, it's approaching $5 per book. That's a lot of inventory that you can't sell. It quickly becomes worthless. What are stores supposed to do? Well, they go out of business. That's all they can do. And part of the problem here, actually, this is the problem, is there are too many people that don't understand business that seem to be running business. It doesn't make sense. So while we're pulling in fiction and reality, this is another example of a press trying to make, in this case, an individual look good. Now, the 60 Minutes interview is so heavily edited. The cuts are painfully obvious, but they did that to make Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez look good. If you've seen any interviews that she's done, she's pretty famous for not doing very well in interviews. She puts her foot in her mouth quite often. So I wanted to point some of this out, because not only is this targeted toward the exact kind of person that Captain Marvel is targeted toward. They've got the same antagonists, the same evil villains that are out there, but they also have the same really narrow view on reality and how basic economics work.
You're talking about zero carbon emissions, no use of fossil fuels within 12 years?
That is the goal. It's ambitious. And
how is that possible? You're talking about everybody having to drive an electric car?
It's going to require a lot of rapid change that we don't even conceive as possible right now. What is the problem?
You see that cut? It's going to require a lot of rapid change. How's that possible? No explanation.
With trying to push our technological capacities to the furthest extent possible.
This would require, though, raising taxes.
There's an element where, yeah, people are going to have to start paying their fair share in taxes.
Do you have a specific on the tax rate?
You know, you look at our tax rates back in the 60s, and when you have a progressive tax rate system, your tax rate, let's say from $0 to $75,000 may be 10% or 15%, etc. But once you get to like the tippy tops, on your $10 millionth dollar, sometimes you see tax rates as high as 60 or 70%. That doesn't mean all $10 million are taxed.
Yeah, there's a cut there too. 60 or 70% taxes. This is the same kind of thing. This is flawed logic when you consider a certain group of people, like small business owners, to be able and capable to hold the brunt of what it is that you want to do, and so you're going to lump it all on their shoulders. This doesn't make sense at all.
An extremely high rate, but it means that as you climb up this ladder, you should be contributing more.
What you are talking about, just big picture, is a radical agenda compared to the way politics is done right now.
Well, I think that it only has ever been radicals that have changed this country. Abraham Lincoln made the radical decision to sign the Emancipation Proclamation. Franklin Delano Roosevelt made the radical decision to embark.
See that cut? The radical cut decision to. I should probably had to go look up a fact. What did he do? What did FDR do? Yeah, so we're done with that interview. My point to all of this is that you can make fictional bad guys and fictional scenarios, and that's fine. But when you start applying it to real life, we've got a problem. The same people that are writing these stories because they think that they are, progressive or important, or, you need to make a bad guy out of Wall Street or capitalism. They're the same people that are running the business. They have the power here, and they're putting the brunt of the work on small business owners. So I have been wrong before, so let me know what you think in the comments below. Am I off base? How would you reason with Marvel Comics? What do they need to change in order to make comic book stores stay in business? Or does the whole industry need to shift altogether? I'd love it if you liked and subscribed. That really, really helps me out. And don't forget the link in the description below for your ebook copy of All for Owen. I'd love to hear what you think about the book, and that way you can hear about Downcast right off the bat. Thank you so much. I will see you next time.